were on the road again, heading south from Cuzco to Puno and Lake Titicaca. It was a comfortable bus and we had front row seats. But two of the Amigos had more important concerns than the view. First stop was the Temple of Viracocha. Its claim to fame is that prior to its destruction by the Spaniards, it had the largest single roof in the Inca Empire, and its adobe walls had withstood the weather of 5 centuries. But by now, the Amigos had seen a lot of Inca ruins.
How are we going with the Inca ruins, Steve?
I personally find them fascinating, Al, but I'm a level above you.
Yes, that's true. Sandra, I heard some critical comments from you about the Inca stones.
The stones are just wonderful.
That's not what you said before.
Not missing an opportunity for the passing tourist trade, the locals were doing a brisk business in bird whistles. But for the Amigos, it was back on the bus and on to the highest point of our journey in South America. Abre la Rea is 4,300 metres above sea level, but by now the Amigos were getting used to high altitudes. The next morning we took a novel form of transport to the wharf where we would take the first of many boat rides on Lake Titicaca. The cliche is that at 12,500 feet it's the world's highest commercially navigable lake. Our first port of call was the floating Reed Islands. One of the locals explained how they cut the reeds to build the floor of the islands. The top layer rots and has to be replaced regularly by stacking more reeds on top of the layer beneath. It seems amazing that you don't sink through them, but the Euros people have lived here long before the Incas. Sadly, today their main activity is tourism. This performance was put on for our benefit.
Without money, just they are bartering and bartering. I want more, they say yapa. Yapa means a little bit more, a little bit more.
All visitors are offered a ride on one of the boats made of reeds, and as we cast off, we were farewelled with an ancient Aymaran folk song. A more sophisticated boat took us across the lake to Amantani Island, home to 800 families on just 6 square miles. There are no cars, no hotels, and just a few small stores. The Amigos were going to stay the night with one of the families who live here. They lived in a simple house with 3 bedrooms set aside for tourists. Alejandro and his family made us welcome, but this was no luxury accommodation. We were expected to help get the dinner ready. Alejandro's wife told us that peeling potatoes with a minimum of waste was an important test for any young woman thinking of marriage.
And Stephen jumps to the lead, and Stephen's winning. This is his 4th.
I think she picked an easy potato. Look, you know, if I was at home, I would cut this potato in half.
The bedrooms were basic, but with plenty of blankets to keep us warm during the really cold night. On Amantani, electricity was produced by a generator, but with the rising price of petrol, it's no longer used. The altitude was still slowing the Amigos down, but they were determined to get to one of the 2 mountain peaks on Amantani. That meant a climb up the hillsides to the peak called Pachamama, meaning Mother Earth.
We're looking at a 7,000 metre mountain. We're looking at a 7,000 metre mountain. And so say all of us.
This was straight out of Fantasyland, with the music and the view of the lake at sunset. After a good night's sleep, sunrise saw the Amigos gathered for breakfast with Alejandro's grandchildren.
Good morning, boys.
Morning.
I want to fed up the boys too.
Here's Alejandro.
Picture Mama.
See the pancakes she's made?
Delicious.
Buenos dias, Alejandro.
Buenos días. ¿Cómo ha amanecido?
Ah, muy bien. ¿Y usted?
Muy bien.
It was time to pack the bags and move on. No point in calling a taxi, but it was only a short walk to the wharf.
Adios.
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 The border between Bolivia and Peru runs through Lake Titicaca, but if you're travelling overland, you have to make the crossing on foot. Relations between the two countries are such that no vehicles are allowed through the border crossing. Maybe it's something to do with drug smuggling.
Steve is going to tell us what's happening now because he's our leader, our fearless leader and president, and he's just going to bring us up to date with where we are at the moment.
Well, we're at the stage of bringing coke into Bolivia.
Oh, right.
Thought that'd make it sort of interesting.
That's kind of no Coles to Newcastle, isn't it, mate?
It might share the same name, but Copacabana, Bolivia is very different from Copacabana, Brazil. They both have beaches. In fact, in landlocked Bolivia, Copacabana is the main beach resort. But here, glitz and glamour is replaced with small-town charm. Because of the altitude, Lake Titicaca is pretty cold, but that only gave President Steve another excuse to take his clothes off.
You do it straight away?
Go for it, Stevie, baby.
Okay, mate. Lake Titicaca, no worries, because I'm an Aussie. That will do.
We stayed in the Hotel Rosario, a pretty nice place for a cool beer on the veranda. It was an easy walk to the town centre, where the prices were a reminder that Bolivia is one of the poorest countries in South America. It's not easy to forget the influence of religion in this part of the world. The Basilica of Our Lady of Copacabana is a shrine to Bolivia's patron saint, and the faithful believe you can pray for a miracle here. And then there's Calvarios, a hill rising above the town that commemorates Christ's crucifixion. Some of the Amigos thought it might need a miracle to get to the top.
Big smile, CB.
Yet again, it was time to get back on the lake and head for new horizons, this time with a touch of luxury.